Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. And today we will be talking about a potential trade sending Christian Wood to the Golden State Warriors and examine the viability of the trade and how it can benefit both teams. Now, the most popular and mainly discussed trade package has Wood going to Golden State in exchange for the Warriors center and second overall pick in last year's draft, James Wiseman. Minnesota's first round pick from this season, which is also top three protected, and $2 million in salary filler to make the trade go through.
Right. And for the Rocket side of things, this trade offers them a chance to get younger and to continue to build around their young potential superstar, Kevin Porter Jr., as their franchise player. Adding a 20-year-old center in James Wiseman would make a lot more sense if the team is looking to build around 21-year-old Kevin Porter Jr. rather than a 25-year-old center in Christian Wood. So in this deal, the Rockets would also get the opportunity to potentially have two top five draft picks in this year's 2021 draft, where it's a very deep class and the top prospects are all pretty much guaranteed to be elite players itself and possibly generational talents. So in this deal, the Rockets set themselves up for their future pretty well, receiving a center that has high potential in James Wiseman, while also unlocking the ability now to add two superstar talents through this year's draft.
And yeah, for the Warriors, this trade really helps optimize what's left of Curry's prime and adds another offensive weapon for Golden State, which would take pressure off Steph Curry, Klay Thompson when he returns from his injuries, and with Wood getting better every year in the league, that really gives Golden State four like all-star caliber players. And offensively, the Warriors struggled heavily last year when Curry was off the floor, as the team had a negative 10.3 difference in offensive rating with Curry off the floor. And so by adding Christian Wood, he would help that significantly due to his ability to score on all three levels, as we've seen throughout the season, averaging 21 points per game on 51% from the field and 37% from three. And although it may seem premature to kind of trade Wiseman like after his rookie year, from their perspective, from the Warriors' perspective, he has not been what they really expected out of him. And it's kind of best for them to trade him while he still has high value, and also because he doesn't really fit their timeline.
Yeah, and there is really no doubt that James Wiseman, while he did have a subpar rookie campaign, he has more than enough tools in his bag to make a good impact with the Rockets on both ends of the floor. To start off, he has the ability to be a floor spacer, something that the Rockets will need when two of their main franchise players in Kevin Porter Jr. and Jayshawn Tate are not the best three-point shooters.
Right. And like to add on that, he's also shown very good effectiveness in pick and roll scenarios as the roll man, whether it be from, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, or any other ball handler on the Warriors.
Yeah, and then last season the Rockets, and just to how that translates from Christian Wood, the Rockets ran a lot of pick and roll through him, and whether it be John Wall or Kevin Porter Jr. as the ball handler, that kind of works with Steph or Draymond Green. That's kind of like an upgrade from John Wall or Kevin Porter Jr. So Christian Wood's game will elevate as well, and James Wiseman can fill that role perfectly for us in that sense, that pick and roll, allowing Coach Silas to not have to make too many adjustments in that department if Wiseman was added.
And Wiseman, I've also seen he's shown his ability to develop into a premier shot blocker in this league. Standing at at 7'1", averaging 1.6 blocks per 36 minutes. Rim protection has been one of the few things that Christian Wood really has not been able to deliver, due to his smaller frame, and that's been exploited by opposition's larger centers. This led to the Rockets having the fourth worst rim defense in the NBA percentage wise. And Wiseman, if he could turn into that premier shot blocker, could definitely work on it and make the Rockets interior defense a lot better.
Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why this trade will go down, is because his rim protection this past season. It will be key to see how he times his shot contest at the rim, since in his rookie season his mistiming of contests led him to being in the top third in personal fouls per game among centers.
Yeah, and a couple of things that I would like to add to what we were talking about, James Wiseman. These aren't really more of his off on court play. This is more of his off court as far as how he meshes with the players and also his personality. The first thing is that Wiseman has always been, even before he was drafted by the Warriors, he was always seen as a guy who would take a few years longer than most draft prospects to reach their peak, reach their full potential. And with that in mind, placing Wiseman in a situation like what we've got in Houston is a lot better for him because of the fact that he won't have as much pressure on him to produce instant results, because the Houston Rockets right now are in a rebuilding phase. They're willing to be patient with their players for them to hit their full potential. Whereas if you look at what's going on in Golden State, that's a team who's looking to compete for a playoff spot. That's a team who's looking to compete for a championship. And second is that the Rockets are just full of players from top to bottom who have a chip on their shoulder. You know, we have Jayshawn Tate, who went undrafted, played overseas for a few years. Kevin Porter Jr. Was treated like he wasn't really a valuable player on the Cleveland Cavaliers, just to name a couple. And James Wiseman would fit perfectly into that culture of proving the doubters wrong, as he was pretty much told his entire rookie season that it was a mistake taking Wiseman at 2 over LaMelo Ball. Now, every aspect of this trade that we've discussed so far is hypothetical, and all of this really depends on the trade happening. There is a lot of asterisks that could prevent this deal from going through, a lot of little hiccups on either side that could make this deal not happen.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like if this trade were to happen, it would most likely be after the lottery, in which we would be receiving a top three pick. And like a little nuance or caveat is that Stone may feel even more incentivized to trade with the Warriors if the Rockets did not get a top four pick in the lottery, so we can kind of secure one of those elite or generational talents mentioned earlier.
And yeah, exactly. It's really hard to see the Rockets doing this deal before the lottery, since I believe there's an almost 30% chance that the pick that the Warriors have does end up staying with Minnesota. And so if the pick does not go to Houston, this trade I don't think would have been worth it at all, because the Rockets would have basically just traded Wiseman for Wood straight up, which is not a fair trade on both sides.
Yeah, and I think for the Rockets, giving up Christian Wood, who basically was an all-star in pretty much in his first season as a starter, for a guy in James Wiseman who's a lot more unproven, trading him for a pick that is not guaranteed to go to you is not a good idea, because there's always that risk. And if that risk doesn't, and you don't get lucky with that risk, you've basically lost a trade and you've lost it badly. But in the best case scenario, we could see the Houston Rockets landing Cade Cunningham with their own pick and a guy like Jalen Green if the Rockets pick that they traded for with the Warriors goes to number 4. Jalen Green is the consensus number 4 pick, and we could end up with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green in this season's draft, which in my opinion would give the Rockets the best 1-2-3 punch. So point guard, shooting guard, small forward punch of any young core in the NBA. In this scenario, the Rockets would probably run a starting lineup of KPJ, Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham, Jayshawn Tate, and James Wiseman. Of course, assuming that either John Wall gets traded or he agrees to come off the bench. And they would also have KJ Martin coming as the sixth man. And this is a lineup who I think would unanimously be looked at as the best young lineup in the NBA. And should this trade go down, the Houston Rockets will set themselves up to have the best future in the NBA. And that will wrap it up for this video. As always, leave your thoughts down in the comments section and we will talk about it there. This has been me, Joel, Anish, and DJ. And we will talk and we will see you in the next video. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Peace.